never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Allen Houston never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Nobody called themselves the greatest in anything but that man and his camp.
And Michael and Magic, and they always will say, wait a minute.
So did I.
They point to other guys, as you know, and say, oh, wait, I'm the greatest. There's one guy in the history of sports I give total pass to saying I'm the greatest, and that's where GOAT comes from, Muhammad Ali.
In today's episode of NBA Shutdown, we dive into a hot debate that continues to spark controversy across generations of basketball fans. Stephen A. Smith, one of the most respected voices in sports media, has once again challenged the narrative around LeBron James and his position in NBA history. This time, the focus is not about rings, MVPs, or longevity. It's about something much deeper. Respect. And more importantly, whether respect is something you earn or something you declare for yourself. Stephen A. does not mince words as he compares the humility of legends like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Tim Duncan with the bold, self-proclaimed greatness of LeBron James. This episode examines 7 powerful quotes from both Stephen A. Smith and Michael Wilbon that reveal why LeBron's pursuit of GOAT status is fundamentally different and possibly flawed. Stick with us through each section as we break down their insight. And if you're new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your take in the comments. Is self-declaring greatness ever justified? Or should that title be earned the old school way? Stephen A. Smith begins this debate with a rare admission that speaks volumes. He does not deny LeBron's greatness, accolades, or longevity. In fact, he acknowledges LeBron's dominance, but in the same breath, he makes it clear that there is one man who stands above him in NBA history, and that is Michael Jordan. This statement is not made lightly. It is based on a full body of work, not just statistics or narratives. Stephen A. is telling us that after all the debate, all the comparisons, and all the eras of basketball, only one name can be definitively placed above LeBron. That name is Jordan. This sets the tone for the entire conversation. While LeBron may be a once-in-a-generation player, Jordan was a once-in-a-sport icon. The difference isn't just on paper, it is in perception, presence, and pressure. Stephen A. sees Jordan's legacy as untouchable. Not because LeBron isn't great, but because Jordan's greatness never needed defending. It was universally accepted. The bar is set, and LeBron still hasn't cleared it.
LeBron James, there's only one player we look at and we say definitively we think was better. And that was Michael Jordan.
Stephen A. takes things a step further by pointing out a crucial difference between LeBron and the legends who came before him. He notes that players like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar never went on public campaigns to declare themselves the greatest of all time. They let their work, results, and legacy speak. In stark contrast, LeBron James and his team have gone out of their way to push the GOAT narrative, which comes from the GOAT narrative. From televised interviews to social media sound bites, the push to crown LeBron as the greatest seems almost like a political campaign. And that's the problem. Greatness, in the truest sense, is recognized, not marketed. When Jordan retired the second time, the world knew he was the greatest without him needing to say a word. His resume, his mindset, and his impact on the sport did all the talking. LeBron's insistence on being the GOAT comes off as insecure, especially when the legends he claims to surpass never made such claims themselves. Stephen A. is saying, if you really are the greatest, why are you the only one saying it?
They were trying to compel people to say he was the greatest. Michael Jordan didn't say that about himself. Kobe Bryant didn't say that about himself. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't say that about himself.
Continuing his critique, Stephen A. lists off names that resonate with greatness and legacy. Kareem, Russell, Duncan. None of these players ever called themselves the GOAT. And while each had their fan base and legacy, they let others do the crowning. Stephen A. even brings up Steph Curry, the consensus greatest shooter in NBA history. Even he has never come forward to declare himself as such. That speaks volumes. The greatest athletes tend to share one trait: humility in the face of dominance. But LeBron and his camp have broken that unwritten rule. Whether it is through documentaries, interviews, or media influence, the push to solidify LeBron's legacy as the GOAT seems more like a PR effort than a natural consensus. What Stephen A. finds problematic is the lack of restraint. Instead of allowing fans, former players, or historians to make that judgment, LeBron and his team seem intent on claiming that crown before his story has even ended. That's not greatness, that's marketing, and it dilutes the legacy he is still building.
Bill Russell didn't say that about himself. Tim Duncan didn't say that about himself. Nobody said that. Nobody but him.
Stephen A. delivers a pointed example that transcends positions and skill sets. When asked about the greatest shooter of all time, the unanimous answer is Steph Curry. Yet, Curry himself has never declared it. Ray Allen, the man Curry surpassed in three-point shooting, never called himself the best either. What does this tell us? That even when the evidence is overwhelming, true greats remain humble. This is not just about basketball IQ, it is about respect. Curry allows the numbers, the fans, and the analysts to do the talking. LeBron, on the other hand, decided to skip the waiting room and walk straight into the throne room. By making these public declarations, he has opened himself up to criticism and drawn comparisons he might otherwise have avoided. Stephen A. is not just defending Jordan here, he's defending an entire culture of earned greatness. When you name yourself king, people come for your crown. When others name you king, it lasts forever. That is the real difference. LeBron may be dominant, but when it comes to reverence, humility still reigns supreme.
Steph Curry hasn't said that about himself. Steph Curry has never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Ray Allen never called himself the greatest shooter of all time.
Stephen A. Smith intensifies his argument by focusing on something incredibly rare in the world of sports: the self-declaration of greatness. He notes that LeBron James and his camp are the only ones who have consistently referred to him as the greatest of all time. This kind of self-braiding is not just uncommon, it's historically frowned upon in the world of elite athletes. From Jordan to Duncan to Russell, the GOAT debate has always been left to the fans, the analysts, and the historian. When athletes start declaring themselves the greatest, they risk alienating those very people who are supposed to crown them. Stephen A. is drawing a clear line in the sand here. LeBron is pushing a narrative rather than letting it emerge organically from performance. This raises questions. Why the need to say it so loudly? Why are others not echoing it at the same level? The answer is simple. The greatest never needed to shout. Their game whispered it into the hearts of millions. Stephen A. is not diminishing LeBron's accomplishments, but is urging fans to understand the difference between achievement and aura. Jordan had both. LeBron, through his self-promotion, has created doubt even in areas where he should be untouchable. That speaks volumes.
Never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Allen Houston never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Nobody called themselves the greatest in anything but that man and his camp.
Michael Wilbon adds fire to Stephen A.'s critique by offering direct insight from his personal conversations with both Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. According to Wilbon, neither man ever referred to themselves as the greatest. Instead, they showed humility and respect, often pointing to others who inspired them or who they thought were just as great in their own right. That humility added to their legend. In contrast, LeBron's approach feels self-centered. Wilbon is not just offering an opinion here, he is delivering first-hand testimony from two of the most iconic players in NBA history. The importance of this cannot be overstated. When Jordan and Kobe, two men with accolades, global fame, and iconic status, refuse to call themselves the GOAT, it sets a powerful precedent. Wilbon reinforces the idea that greatness is something others bestow upon you, not a title you hand to yourself. This isn't just about modesty, it is about legacy. When people look back in 20, 30, or 50 years, they will remember how you played, but also how you carried yourself. LeBron may have the numbers, but the mythos, the reverence, the unspoken respect, that still belongs to players who never needed to brand themselves. That difference defines how greatness is perceived.
The men you've mentioned, none of them say, I was the greatest. I was the greatest. I had these conversations with Kobe Bryant and Michael and Magic, and they always would say, wait a minute.
So did I.
They point to other guys, as you know, and say, oh, wait.
Michael Wilbon closes the argument with a powerful and definitive point. He says that the only individual in sports history who publicly called himself the greatest and was still universally revered was Muhammad Ali. Why? Because Ali was not just an athlete, he was a revolutionary figure. His self-proclaimed greatness came during a time when the world needed it. It was part performance, part survival, and part protest. Ali's declaration was not about self-celebration. It was a political act rooted in racial pride and social justice. LeBron, by comparison, operates in a completely different environment. His declaration lacks the historical context that made Ali's proclamation iconic. Instead of uplifting others, LeBron's self-labeling has only added fuel to the divisiveness surrounding the GOAT debate. Wilbon's point is that even when Ali said it, the world took a step back, evaluated the full picture, and still honored him. LeBron has not earned that pass. He is not a revolutionary. He is a basketball player in the modern era, playing in a league far more forgiving than the one Jordan dominated. So, when he calls himself the greatest, it rings hollow to those who lived through Jordan's era or studied the humility of the legends that came before him. LeBron's final note confirms that LeBron's GOAT campaign, while impressive, is flawed at its foundation.
I'm the greatest. There's one guy in the history of sports I give total pass to saying I'm the greatest, and that's where GOAT comes from, Muhammad Ali.
The message is clear. Greatness in basketball is not something you declare, it is something the world declares for you. Michael Jordan never had to remind us who he was. Kobe Bryant never had to campaign. Kareem, Russell, Duncan, even Steph Curry. They let the fans, the game, and history do the talking. LeBron James is undeniably one of the most gifted athletes we have ever seen. But as Stephen A. Smith and Michael Wilbon emphasize, that next level of reverence cannot be self-appointed. It must be earned, lived, and remembered without needing to be spoken. Until then, the throne that Jordan built remains untouched. Subscribe to NBA Showdown, share your thoughts in the comments, and let us know, can true greatness be claimed or must it be bestowed?